Alrighty folks, coming at you today with a top 5 heroes for new players to hop into their ranked journey with. You know, with 1.0 being out and a lot of new players coming into the player base, wanted to get out something for all you new guys, whether you haven't picked a main couple heroes you like to play or you're just now hopping into ranked for the first time after you've unlocked a certain amount of heroes and reached, I believe it's level 20 now, it used to be level 30, but either way, this is 5 heroes for new players to get into. Not the most meta 5 heroes by any means, but 5 heroes that have decent survivability, mobility, good ability to win their early game, or just general ease of use and impact for newer players to hop into. So 5 heroes, not just the top 5, but one for each role, as well as an honorable mention with some clips. So if you already know what role you like to play, check out the timestamps below and go ahead and skip to that role, and we're going to give you one for each. So we'll hop in right now and break down those 5 roles real briefly, and then we'll hop into the actual top 5 list. So hope you guys enjoy. Let's get right into it. Alrighty, so breaking down the 5 roles real quick, if you tab over to the Heroes tab from the main menu, you can see a list of all the heroes here, and then you see they've already got them broken down into the 5 roles for the most part. What these roles stand for are off lane, mid lane, jungle, support, and carry. So if you're coming from another MOBA, you already know how these roles basically work, but just a brief description of each. Solo laners, this is the people that are in a 1v1 in their exterior lane. For predecessor, it is the lane that has green buff in it that is closest to Orb Prime side, farthest from Fangtooth side. So these are generally melee based heroes that are building a mixture of damage and survivability to help in late game team fights when they start rotating, but you're sticking to your lane for the majority of the game and you're kind of isolated out there. So it goes by solo lane or off lane in this game, but most other games they're going to call it solo lane because you're in a 1v1 and your goal is to contest green buff as much as you can, get a level advantage on the rest of the enemy team, and be able to rotate sometimes to middle or sometimes to Fangtooth or whatever it may be to secure early pressure. And then late game, you're going to most likely be a frontliner because tanks are kind of in right now in the meta, but some of these are kind of assassin-based like Feng Mao and Seraph and whatnot. So melee-based heroes that are usually a bruiser type or a tank, a full tank either way. Mages, pretty straightforward. These are your ability damage-based heroes. These are heroes that are going down the middle lane. They are contesting the 2 river bugs to get their mana back up, and they're trying to just kind of win in the boxing match versus another mage that's throwing abilities at you. So late game, most of these are going to be your big burst damage dealers that are applying area damage in team fights or trying to hit multiple enemies with abilities. So if you like that playstyle of kind of setting back a little bit and throwing out CC or throwing out damaging abilities, the mages are probably for you. Jungle, most of these are melee heroes again. Jungle is probably the hardest role for new players to get a good grasp of and figure out what they need to be doing, but the general gist is you're farming the jungle camps because you don't have a lane of your own. So you're farming the jungle camps for gold and XP, you're farming red buff and blue buff to help you get farm faster and to help you gank the lanes or dive on the enemies when they're not expecting it or when they're low health to force like a 2v1 in solo lane or a 3v2 in duo lane. So your job is just kind of help the lanes out wherever it's needed, farm effectively, and challenge for jungle objectives when they come up, because you have, as a jungler, you have the hunt knife that lets you score the final hit on the objectives. So definitely take a look at these if you like playing in the jungle or like farming or want to aggressively jump on people and surprise them for the kill, but keep in mind it is going to be harder to master that role. And then finally, we've got the support and carry roles. Support is pretty straightforward. Your job is to keep your carry alive, whether it's through healing them, shielding them, giving them movement speed abilities, or applying damaging CC on the enemy duo lane, whether that be stuns or slows or roots, and keep your carry alive while keeping him dealing damage. So that's your job as a support. You want to get as few kills as possible. You want to get as few minion takedowns as possible. And just try to keep your carry going as best you can. And then, of course, by the same token, your attack damage carry, your ADC, is the main auto attack damage dealer on your team. Late game, he's going to be like the highest consistent damage dealer that you have. So your goal in lane is to farm up as efficiently as you can, win your 2v2 in duo lane, which is going to be the lane that's on the gold buff side and closer to Fangtooth in the current setup, at least, that we have on the map. So get rolling, try to get as many kills as you can, try to win your 2v2. If you know that at least one of you is going to die, hopefully your support is the one that's going to step up and take that death for you so that you can stay rolling, stay mobile, and stay dealing damage with your auto attacks. So carries have the most effect late game. Supports have a pretty good effect early game now, since their CC is kind of what you're relying on for them for the most part. Junglers, it could be either way, depending on which jungler you're playing. Mid laners kind of have their biggest power spike towards the mid to late game, where they have a lot of damage items online, but the carries haven't taken over an extreme damage role yet, because the carries are the last ones to really get rolling. And then solo laners are usually on an island for the most part in their lane, and you may not see them that much in team fights until the late game stage, but they should be over leveled because they're out there farming and they have green buff to take as well. So that's the breakdown of the roles. You're probably already familiar with them if you're coming from another MOBA, but if not, there's a little explanation for you. Let's hop into my number one pick for each of these roles. Going with solo lane first, my pick for top solo laner that new players should try to hop into is going to be Greystone. Now, Greystone is not exactly the most meta solo laner there is right now, but he does have incredible mobility and great survivability. So his passive works for you without you having to do anything, just deflecting autos every once in a while and giving you extra power. His Assault the Gates is a very strong leap ability because it's got a good range. It does deal some decent damage. They recently buffed the area that it hits the damage in, and also when you hit someone with it, it gets a cooldown reduction. So it is a long cooldown, but if you're able to use it aggressively, it'll be back up in a shorter amount of time so you can get out of fights, which is really the key thing here, is getting out of fights with it. You've also got your Make Way, which is an incredible lane clearing ability. Really hard to deal with a Greystone or stand in melee range of a Greystone that's just swinging around his Make Way to clear wave. So good clear, good mobility, and of course the big ticket item, which is his ultimate. Basically a revive for him when you're getting low health. You just, as long as you have enough mana, you hit that ultimate. He goes up in stasis for 2.5 seconds, come back down with a nice heal, meanwhile slowing and damaging anyone that's caught in it. So good all game long. If you're getting in fights that you're in over your head in, you can either jump out or you can just hit your revive. And either way, as long as your team's paying attention, they should be able to swing that team fight for you. So good hero, doesn't have the hard CC that you like to see from a lot of solo laners right now, but still one that's very easy to play, and you can build a big variety of builds on him, whether you want to go full armor, whether you want to go attack, like auto attack based, or whether you want to go ability damage. He can pretty much build any one of it. Get a little practice with him, and I think you'll be happy with how consistent he's able to give your team a good value at solo lane. So check out these clips, and then we'll get into the honorable mention.
The enemy core is under attack.
So my honorable mention for the solo lane or off lane spot is going to be Quang. Quang, just kind of general decent hero overall. He's got a shield that will help you win in trade engagements when you're trading hits, and it helps you clear lane as well because it does damage when it gives you the shield. He's got a mobility ability with the surge where he dashes forward. He's got an ult that slows people down and deals a nice chunk of damage to them. And he's got a pretty long hard CC, which is really king in the meta right now, of having a tether for 1.5 seconds when he throws that sword up and it lands on somebody. So you guys have probably seen Quang in action. He's a hot pick in both jungle and solo lane, and he's good pretty much all game long. So if you're not a Greystone fan for whatever reason, or you just want to have a higher skill ceiling, because Quang does have a ridiculously high skill ceiling, take a look at Quang. You'll probably like him a lot. Taking a look at the mid lane role, my number one hero pick for new players to hop into and play is going to be Gideon. Now, Gideon for a long time was banned in almost every ranked game, but he has since fallen from the former glory that he was in, and now he's just kind of considered a middle of the road pick, but that's at least good because he's not going to be banned, so you'll be able to play him. He's got a really straightforward kit for a mage. Everything is based on dealing damage. You've got a meteor that shoots directly out at them, and you've got a meteor that drops from the sky on them. So, two straightforward damaging abilities. The real reason he's gotta be my number one pick for new players is the torn space where he creates a portal and teleports them out. It's like having a second free blink in addition to the blink that you have that's on a 5-minute cooldown. You've got this blink that's on a 22 to 14 second cooldown. So very good for staying mobile, getting out of tough spots, and then if you are ahead, by the same token, you can use it to engage or catch people out or teleport other team members in when you're chasing people. So really strong, just general kit with that teleport is just cannot be underestimated. And then of course you've got his ultimate, which is the black hole. Jump up, deal damage to a bunch of people, and suck them towards the middle. Channels for 3.5 seconds. You are pretty vulnerable during that time. People will be targeting you with either CCs or just pure auto attack damage, but hopefully you're using this in team fight scenarios where your team's going to be able to eliminate the other players before they eliminate you. So really strong hero overall. Not the hardest abilities to hit by any means. They have a decent area that they hit in, but the main thing is got to be that torn space portal. Getting into fights if you're winning or ahead, and getting out of fights if you're behind or you're losing. Just too much safety. Great mobility around the map. If you fall off of a ledge that you need to get back up onto, just teleport right back up on there. It's on a really short cooldown by the time you're at the end of the game. So, great hero. Check out these clips from him, and then we'll get into our honorable mention. My honorable mention for the mid lane spot is a longtime favorite of the channel. May not be one that's most meta right now, just as I said before, and some other people may not like it, but it is Iggy and Scorch. Now, Iggy and Scorch, this is the hero that runs around dropping down the turrets. So you drop the flame turrets down, they do all the work for you. You can put down 3 of them, but not just the flame turrets himself, which is nice for new players because you don't have to worry about hitting anything. His actual Molotov and oil spill ability both have really large area of effects, so you don't have to precisely aim any skill shots to be good with him or to get a huge damage number by the end of the game with him. As long as the rest of your team is willing to support you taking the Iggy pick and willing to position around you in team fights, he can get a lot done for you. His ultimate has the ability to knock people off of you when they try to dive you, and it can hit multiple people at once, so very strong just overall kit. May not be the strongest mid laner in the meta because he doesn't have a hard CC, but he does have a slow. He does have the knockback from his ult if he needs it. and just a really easy hero to play without having to hit any skill shots. Great for contesting objectives, and just one of my favorite heroes for sure. So a lot of gameplay on the channel of using them. Check it out if you're not a fan of Gideon. I completely understand, because I would take Iggy and Scorch over Gideon just about any day. Taking a look at our number 1 pick for junglers, for new players to hop into and play with ease, we're of course going with Chimera. Now Chimera, he's a classic. He is kind of the definition of what a jungler is. He's got really good sustain. That's one of the biggest things about him. His passive with the spirit regeneration gives you insane sustain. When you're farming camps, you're going to be full health leaving those camps almost all the time, which is awesome. He's got the leap ability that also slows people when you leap onto them, so really good for catching people out, but you have to leap onto someone. You have to target an enemy to leap onto, so you cannot use this as an escape, which is the downfall of Chimera. It's hard to get away from people, easy to keep on people. So it's got the Unleash, which is just a really fast series of auto attacks, and he's got the Invigorate, which is a cleanse and a heal. So really strong kit all around, with his ultimate also providing a stun to anyone that you can hit in the little cone for 1.25 seconds. So a good hero. He's got some buffs recently to help him be more viable late game, because he does kind of struggle late game, but I don't think a lot of people would argue that he is the strongest early game jungler. With his potential to stay full health and contest objectives, he can solo Fangtooth, he can solo mini orbs early. Just a really scary hero in the early game, with just kind of an okay late game right now. So check him out, check out these clips. I'm sure you've seen Chimera a lot, and you shouldn't see him banned in many of your games either, so he should be very easy for you to secure him as your jungler pick, assuming the other team doesn't pick him first, of course. But check these clips out, and then we'll get into our honorable mention. That'll do. Nope. Oh, Revenant's right here. There you go. Something. Oh, she almost got Howie. There you go. Looking at my honorable mention for the jungler role, I wanted to give it to Aurora, but the problem is you're going to see Aurora banned in the majority of your games right now, so not going to recommend her. She is very good, but if she's banned every game and you're never able to play her, then what good use of it is me to recommend her. So I'm going to actually recommend Grux. Now I know a lot of the high ranking, high gameplay tier guys are going to say Grux isn't that good anymore. Grux, as your jungler, and he doesn't get played in jungle as much, he gets played in solo lane a lot more, but Grux just has incredibly fast clear of the camps, and despite not having the best mobility with his dash being a pretty short lunge, he just has incredibly good early game damage and clearing potential, with good Omnivamp potential with the Bloodlust. Applying maximum bloodlust stacks to an enemy or hero grants Grux 10% Omnivamp for 5 seconds. So you also have the stun on his ult, which is going to give him attack speed and an extra physical power that he steals. So just a strong kit, a really threatening kit in the early game. And if you're able to leverage this early game into a snowball effect for either one or two of your lanes, while not falling behind or while contesting a couple Fangtooths, Grux can still be a really impactful and easy to play hero with a couple good build options on him. So despite not having the mobility, Grux is my pick for jungler. Taking a look at the support role, my pick for number 1 hero for new players to hop into and have success in ranked is going to be Steel. Now, you shouldn't see Steel banned very much, but you probably will be seeing him played very much because he gets played in solo lane some as well, and also in jungle some. So the reason for that is he's just got a strong kit all the way around. I mean, he's got 4 abilities and every single one of them applies CC in some way. And he's got a passive where when he hits those abilities, whether it's the stun from the shield strike or the bull rush where he knocks people back and up, either way it gives him a little shield on top. So right when you hit your abilities, that's when you're going to be getting targeted the most, and that shield is going to mitigate that damage on the front end before you have to worry about it. So really strong kit with 4 abilities that apply CC, a shield slam, which is really good as his ultimate for engaging or setting up for team fights. The force shield is really high skill ceiling. You can get good use out of it in lane, you can get good use out of it late game for team fights, you can use it to wall off objectives, whatever it may be. It's just a very strong and very unique ability to steal, and just a great kit overall, easy to play with a lot of extra health and armor that he gets just from his level ups. So you want to build him full tank, but he's going to get a lot of tankiness just from leveling up as well. A great hero, has to be my number 1 pick for easy to play support hero to hop into your ranked games with. Check out these clips and then we'll give you our honorable mention.
Choice. I'm
My honorable mention for the support role has got to go to Decker. Now, Decker easily could have taken the number 1 spot. It's a very different type of support than Steel because Decker is a ranged support who has also got a very unique kit, whereas Steel is a melee tank type support. So if you do prefer the ranged setup, Decker is probably the one for you. Has an okay passive, but has probably the most broken non-ultimate ability in the game in the containment fence. So you've seen it before. She puts the fence up, she can catch enemy heroes in it and prevent them from passing through it for the duration. Really strong, gets down to a 19-second cooldown by the time it's fully leveled. And just the rest of her kit is very strong too, with the Stasis Bomb being a nice, basically infinite range stun. If you're able to hit it at 3,500 units is insane. And then the Ion Strike ultimate, which is just another form of stun. And she offers good clear. If you're playing a carry that has weaker clear early game, her little line drone slowdown laser gives you that nice clear option. So just a really strong hero. I don't think anyone would debate that. Easily S tier right now. but you shouldn't see her banned in too many of your games. You will be seeing her picked in many of your games for sure, but usually people don't like to ban her for some reason. I vote for her to be banned pretty much every single time that our support doesn't want to play her, but that's just me. Honorable mention Decker without a doubt. Very close to Steel, if not better than Steel in a lot of comps, but just not quite as easy to play, I would say, as Steel. A little bit higher of a skill ceiling with these skill shot abilities. Rounding out our list of the top 5 heroes, one for each role. Looking at the carry role, I should preface it by saying most of these carries are very similar in strength right now, with not too many of them being too weaker than others. They just have some slight differences. The one I'm going to take as my number 1 for new players is going to be Drongo. Now, Drongo's been strong in the meta for a while right now. He's just got a good set of abilities and a good passive for scaling well into the late game, as well as giving him some mobility with his ult. And he has the unique ability with his gag grenades to silence enemy heroes. So great clear with his old Rusty, and a silence on top of it is a very unique combination for a carry. You can use his ult to stay positioned at the edge of team fights or back yourself up out of rough situations. And just a really well-rounded carry, I would say, with how strong the clear is on Rusty, and having the rad rounds as a auto attack stem to help you get that damage when you really need it. He's been strong for a long time. He's going to still be strong for a while longer because of just the nature of his kit, and he's worth getting good with. So although I think a lot of the carries are pretty close in strength right now, Drongo is my pick for a top 5 hero that new players can hop into ranked with. You shouldn't see him banned too much either. You will see him banned occasionally, but you will see him picked a lot for sure. So it just depends on if you get to pick carry first before the other team. But check out these clips for him, and then we'll give you our honorable mention. Rounding it out with our last honorable mention, my pick is going to be Kira for our honorable mention at carry. Kira just kind of recently stepped into the meta a little bit more. She was very weak before when her ult did a lot less damage. Now her ult does do more damage. It is still a very weak ult, I would say, compared to a lot of the other carries' ults. But one of the real things that makes her an easy to play carry for new players is great scaling with her passive into late game, and the ability to slow people, and the ability to put those stacks on people and then purify them out with her Dusk ability. Purify enemy targets that are marked with Vengeance, so you'll get Vengeance marks by dealing damage to them, and then you can purify them off to slow them and deal extra damage to them if you need to secure kills. And the real benefit, and the reason she's got to be on this list, is her, and also Twin Blast, has a little short dash that she can use in any direction, and it's on a pretty short cooldown. Hers also gives her additional physical power when she uses it, so you're incentivized to dive towards the enemy to go for those finishes with it. But you can also use it to reposition yourself or to dodge enemy abilities that are coming in that are going to end you or CC you. So a pretty easy hero to play, pretty easy hero to keep up in late game damage with, even if you get a little bit behind. You just got to keep in mind that her ult is not the strongest, and it is kind of hard to find a good situation to use it in. But other than that, definitely a good hero right now, and one that's worth getting good with. As I said, most of the carries are about on par, but I like Kira as my honorable mention pick. Alrighty, so that's going to do it, guys, for this top 5 heroes for new players to hop into ranked and find some success with. Hope you guys enjoyed, and hope that the clips and my commentary helps you make a decision on what heroes you want to play if you're new, or if you're hopping into rank for the first time, or if you've just been having a hard time in your ranked games. These are some heroes that are easy to play, whether it's because of their mobility or their strength early game, that you can hop into and find some impactful success with for your teams. Check out, if you want to see how I rank all heroes versus each other, and from a more meta standpoint, not just from a new player standpoint, check out that 1.0 heroes tier list that I did recently. A lot of content creators have been putting out tier lists in the last week or so after 1.0 has been out for a little bit, so check out some of those, see where all the heroes compare to each other. You may want to pick a different hero that wasn't on this list for more meta purposes, but you got to keep in mind those top tier heroes are also getting banned more, so it's kind of a risk and reward. If you want to get really good with a hero and then they get banned every game, then you can't play them in ranked. So it is what it is. But thanks for watching, guys. Hope you enjoyed. And let me know in the comments what heroes you think deserve to be on this list more. If you're someone who's experienced and you think some other heroes are more new player friendly, leave those in the comments so people that can go down there and look and find what the general community is saying the easiest to play heroes and most new player friendly heroes are. So thanks for watching, guys. We will catch y'all in the next one.